What's going on, Carol? Thank you for joining in today. Just making some minor adjustments here. What's up, Ronnie? There we go. Now we got a much better view on this than yesterday. I was having trouble with the camera angle yesterday. It wasn't really working, but good thing I wasn't on as long. All right. All right, guys. I'll be doing the same flies I was doing yesterday. Since I didn't have a chance to stay on as long, I figured I wanted to mess around with this a bit more. Oh, that's a little loud there. All right. Yeah, I didn't really like either. I was looking over this fly that I tied up yesterday. I don't really like the chenille in there, so I'm going to do a different belly on this guy. I still want to do something flashy, but that chenille was too thick, and I don't have any micro. Don't have any of the micro chenille, so I'm going to work with it there. I'm working on a little balanced minnow pattern, micro version. So I'm tying this guy on a size 12 jig force hook, and I'll show you right now how I create that balanced effect. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. So now I'm going to show you exactly how I got the little micro balanced shank on this guy. What I did was I used one of these size 8 Daiichi, however you say it. I just cut the hook off. I'll show you here. Just to get that shank. So I don't have any small enough shanks to fit the 3.2 millimeter bead that I'm using for this guy. And I'm using a fulling mill, slotted tungsten beads for that one. And that nice brown color. Usually I like to use the brown. Sometimes the copper works well for this pattern. But let's see. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot my forgot my wire cutters. Give me just a second, guys. We'll grab these real quick. If you're just joining in today, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys coming in. I'll be tying up a micro balanced minnow right now, along with some of my other favorite micro streamers. for trout specifically, but these have worked really well on smallmouth and largemouth as well. So just take yourself a pair of rusty old wire cutters here, and I'm going to cut that right off. I don't need it super long. Maybe about right here. About right there. I'll put that in the trash so it doesn't go flying all over on me. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining in. So now I just have this straight shank. That looks pretty good. Right about the length that I need. What's going on, AJ? You like fly fishing, man? That's awesome. I'm all about it, my friend. So now that bead will stay right at the front there. If you've seen other tires, if you tie this up in a bigger fly, like I did this in a big bass version, much larger than this one, you can use a nail. A nail will work perfectly for this, because then you could throw a much bigger bead on instead of having to cut your shanks here. But I'm just trying to get it to the right size. That looks pretty good. Let's get this on there. I'm still playing around with how, the length from where your actual hook eye, this is where you're going to tie in at, and how long I want that bead out. It's really going to depend on the kind of materials you use, because you want it to balance out right. You want it to ride hook point up, hence the name Balanced Minnow. You like to go with your grandpa? That's awesome, man. Fly fishing is an awesome thing to do with the family. Shandan, yes, this is a fishing hook for fly fishing, more specifically. So what I'm going to do is I'm just putting a nice thread base over this, and then to lock it in, I'm going to come around, horizontally around these thread wraps like this, so I can lock all that in, and I know it's not going to go sliding off on me. And I'll do this a couple of times. I probably could have pushed that. Let me see if it'll push back. Nah, that's all right. It didn't, but then I'll go again, get another thread dam on there. Hey, thanks, Lupe, I appreciate that. And then I'll do it again, just to really solidify this and lock it in here. The main thing is just getting it locked in onto your hook shank, because the bead isn't going to bear any weight. You're not going to tie, I'm not going to use this hook eye to tie my line to it, so it's not going to bear any weight. It's just literally to hold up this bead. So it doesn't have to be bulletproof, just solid enough. Just solid enough to put this guy on there. And I'll throw some super glue just for fun. Hey, well, that's awesome, AJ. I'm glad you're getting out there. It's really, fly fishing is an awesome sport to get into. Especially to be out there with the grandpa. That's even better. We're going to spread this guy around. I'm going to butcher the crap out of this name. What's up, Oilao? Oilao. If I said it right, awesome. I got it spot on. How's it going, Kim? Sam S., thank you for joining in. Appreciate you guys. Now, since I didn't put this thread as far back as I wanted to. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? So, on the last fly, on this guy right here, it looks okay. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It doesn't look too bad. But that chenille was a little too thick for the body. So the idea that I had for this guy is I'm just going to create a thread body, and then I'm going to wrap it with polar flash to give it that shiny belly. But then this way it gives me a little bit more control over the size of the hook shank here, because that chenille just kind of overcrowded the hook eye and made it hard. It'll work, but I just didn't like it. So I want to play around with it a little bit more. I'm gonna see how this goes. Like, that looks pretty good, so I think I'm gonna match the front here, match it up a little bit more so it's equal size. Yes, tiger trout are a mix of brook and brown trout. I believe more specifically that it is a female brook and a male brown. I'm pretty sure, and I don't think it works the other way for some reason. I don't know, I'm not a fish biologist, so something like that. But yes, it is a brook and a brown. Almost there. That's looking pretty good. As long as it keeps up with like a minnow taper, the center of it can be larger and then it'll taper off towards the head. Yeah, let's roll with that. We'll see how that comes out. You know what, let me just experiment with it. Let me throw the flash on and see how that body looks. Let's get a few. Just testing out the body first before I get into it. Doing a little experimenting right now. Oh, that just gave me an idea too. Let's see. I think that'll cover up the thread wraps nicely. Pinch that together a little more. Yeah, I do like that better. It's a lot thinner than the chenille. And I think that'll work, guys. Piece of pine squirrel over top of that. I think that'll look great. Okay, let's go back. Let's try it. Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Had a little super glue there. I'm going to tie that pine squirrel, and I just wanted to try it and make sure that was going to look good or look the way I want it to. Just trying to build up that belly of the fly without creating too much bulk. All right, let's just snip that off. I'll keep that extra bulk there. Ever loving outdoors, there he is. What's going on, man? Actually, you know what? This will work well. I think I'll do a UV belly as well. Once I wrap that flash on there, I'll create a little UV shell over it to add some size if I need to. But I'm just playing around with it right now, guys. I'm just seeing, kind of experimenting with a balanced minnow in this size. Now I'm just going to puncture that hide right in the center. Appreciate you guys joining me today. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to fire them away. Yeah, it's a good sized tail there. Now let's go back. Now we can tie my flash in. Probably could have just left it, I guess, in hindsight. Oh well. Let's see. We're at. You brought body wrap flies with 2 strands of flash. Nice, man. Yeah, this is, I don't know if you've ever used polar flash, but this stuff's a lot thinner than marabou, a little bit more flexible. So I like to stack it up pretty heavy. Lock it in there. We only need this. I didn't leave enough room on the last one either, so I think if I stop right about there, that'll be good. So we'll wrap this up, try to keep these as tight as possible. When you're using this many strands to wrap a body, it'll tend to spread out. There it is, like it is right there, which is okay. But if it goes any more, see, like that just slipped on me. I want to keep that tight. There we go. And I'm putting a decent amount of tension as well. I'm really making sure to pinch this polar flash pretty tight. And I wrap the opposite way again. I keep doing that. That's all right. Just keep it tight. Cross them over each other. And it'll lock in. Okay, that's gonna work there. I think once I get the UV on it, it'll look great. The other thing I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some rubber legs on this guy. And I'm also gonna make sure that this hook eye is punctured through. So I'm gonna line it up, see where it's at, and the way I do it is if you pinch it in half, right where that. Actually, if you do it a little bit ahead, you fold it right there, you can just take the tip of your scissors and cut into that hide. Create a little slice there. And I think I came too far up it, so let me go back down, make it a little shorter. Bend that in half. Make sure it's right in the middle. That should work. Come on, go through that. There we go. Perfect. That keeps it in place and it makes a nice clear path for that hook eye to poke through. It'll be easier once it's wet. All this hair will slick down out of the way and you'll see that hook eye poke through there. Nice and clear. But that's important right there to get it to poke through that hide. And I'll comb the rest of this back. Light wraps, keep it on top, and then I can cinch that down. 2 reasons why I like that is that the hair, this hide strip being on top will hide that hook point really well. I like to do that with my flies, my streamer flies specifically. What's up, BMX? You fly at home, huh? All right, that guy's locked in. Gills and Thrills, what's up, man? Good to see you. You like you some zonker flies? Let's clean this up a little bit. Wrap back slightly. Let's put some rubber legs. I just got to decide what color rubber legs I'm going to throw on this. Maybe, let's see what I got. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate you guys coming in. I am tying up some micro streamers today. If you have any questions, please feel free to fire away in the chat. I'm always happy to answer. Want to tell some fishing stories, whatever you got. And I'll go with these. I don't know, what do they call these ones? They're called grizzly flutter legs. That's the color on these ones. So I'm just going to put 2 on each side, just to add some, you know, like a fin type action, maybe some pectoral fins. Just going to let those go. Yeah, you know what? I think that is going to work out to do a UV belly on that guy. It'll just blend really well with the head. So let's lay these right along the side, light wrap, just to get it in place. Do one more. Make sure that's lined up. There's that. Leave a little tag for it to lock in, and then I can tie in the other side. Roughly about the same length. It doesn't really matter right now. You can trim them up later. Couple of light wraps. It's really important with rubber legs because you can, if you cinch it down right there, they'll just snap right off. That'll work. And once I come right up here, now I can do some securing wraps. Clean that up. And lock those guys in. And I want to make sure that bead's right in position. Sometimes it's in a funky spot. That looks good. Now we'll do our dubbing loop. No, you stay up there. We're going to finish this guy off with a pine squirrel dubbing loop. Now you stay over there. Yeah, man, tying materials are getting pretty expensive. They're getting up there for sure. Especially buying from the store, straight from Bass Pro or Cabela's, it's going to be expensive, man. You got to go online to J Stockard or AvidMax and look out for their sales. They usually have a lot of sales, so if you join their email list, you'll get all their deals that are going on for the month or for the week. Some pretty good stuff. All right, let's see. This one looks pretty good. Should we go with that? Yeah, we'll go with this one. These pine squirrel hides can be a little tricky to work with sometimes. Some of them are a little too thin for my style of micro streamers. They can work really well for some tiny stuff, but sometimes it's hard to find a strip like this guy. It has a ton of hair, you know, stacked up in it. That fur is nice and thick. Those are the strips that I like to find out of it. What's up, Mr. David? How you doing, sir? Good to see you, man. this guy up here. Let's see, I don't have that much more shank to cover, so I don't think I need a ton of hair. What's up, SD? Where's the compost special at? Well, this is one of them, man. I'm making some balanced minnows right now, so it's kind of similar to the compost special. Slightly different though. This guy's gonna have some eyes on it. And it's gonna be that balanced minnow style. All right. Now that I have it, I do this every time. Every time I get it cut out and I see it in the tool by itself, I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna be enough hair. But we're gonna roll with it as always. Keep it going. I don't like to waste materials. So I'm gonna lay these short ends in there, right in my dubbing loop. Make sure it's pinched before I let this guy go. Oh, come on. Ooh, almost lost it. Did you see that? Almost lost it. Right as I was saying, I don't like to waste materials. That's an easy way to waste some pine squirrels, to drop it out of your dubbing loop. You ain't getting it back in after that. What brand are the tweezers? Those are Dr. Slick, I think they are. Nothing fancy. I just went and got mine at Cabela's. I'm sure there's better ones, but let me see. Yeah, those are Dr. Slick. All right, got my dubbing loop going here. Pull out the loose hair. Or fur, I guess I should say. Make sure I'm wrapping the same direction as my thread. ASD, we gotta go hit the wand soon, man. Stack these up pretty tight. Really like to focus the wraps right behind the bead. Really creates a nice minnow-shaped profile here. Or it will in a second. Maybe one more loop in there. Let's see. Yep. Nice and tight now. Lock in that wrap. If you still have hair left over in your dubbing loop, what I like to do is catch some of that in my thread wrap. And it'll give you a nice clean finish on this fly. I don't like to have a big gap behind this bead. So that's why I catch some of that from the dubbing loop into my thread. Keeping the tension. A couple of wraps to lock that baby in. You're not into fishing, just curious if it matters that if it's looking like a fly or not to the fish. So when we say fly fishing, we're just referring to the style of fishing that we're doing. a fly itself is not actually always going to look like a fly, like what you think in your head, like a house fly or a bug. This fly specifically that I'm tying right here is going to look more like a minnow, like a little minnow in the water, maybe a trout fry, baby fish, whatever you want to call it. That's what this guy's supposed to look like. Now, there are other flies that, yes, are meant to, and they're tied to look like flies, like what you think in your head. You think of a bug or a mosquito or something of that nature. There are specific patterns, but just like with conventional fishing, there are different lures, different flies that imitate different food items for the fish. Fishing and art, yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what I always say. Fly tying is definitely an art. There are some really great fly tyers that do it as an art strictly, like they don't even fish their flies. It's more just a creative expression. And that's also what I do it too. I do it like that as well. It's a lot of fun to create a pattern that mimics something really closely. Maybe it looks realistic. Maybe it's, the way it moves, the different types of material that you use can really change how your fly looks and acts in the water. Oh yeah, I'm going to use this one. This one is a fishable fly for sure. I'm just experimenting with it because I haven't fished it a lot. Like I have a lot of other patterns that I have spent a lot of time on the water, but this one's more of a new pattern that I would have to go out and test. You have to test sometimes if you're going for a specific action in your fly, you got to go out and test it. You got to test the mechanics. How fast does it sink? Is it doing the right action? Is it getting to the right depth? There's a lot of things to consider when you're tying a fly to catch fish in a specific way. So this being a fly that imitates a minnow, I want to make sure that it swims and looks like a minnow out there. So aesthetically, it does look like a minnow to me. Once I put these eyes on, especially, it's going to bring it to life. But I have to take some time to get it out on the water, test it out, and see how it actually fishes. Yep, nothing like catching something on a fly you tied yourself. 100%. Yeah, you definitely need the patience with fishing, with any kind of fishing. But I like to say that if you look at it from a different perspective, if your goal isn't to always catch fish, then it'll be pretty natural and pretty easy to go out there and just have a good time and be patient. Now, if your goal is entirely to go out and catch fish all the time, then yes, you will need a lot of patience because there's going to be a lot of days, a lot of hours where you're not catching fish, and that's just a part of it. But like you had said earlier, is it Anish? It is an art. Fly fishing itself is also an art. It's an art, and once you enjoy it as that, once you enjoy it as an expression of yourself, an expression of art, it's not going to matter whether or not you catch fish. It's just an enjoyment you get out of being out in nature, just something else that fulfills your passion, your soul, brings out other things in you that are not just entirely motivated by catching fish. It truly is an art. It's a meditation. It's a therapy. fly tying too. You kind of get into this focused state of where nothing else really matters. You know, you're just doing what you're doing in the moment. You're just entirely in it. You're listening to the sounds of the water, the birds chirping around you, and breathing in that mountain air, that fresh, moist mountain air, high oxygenated. That's all why. That's all why I go out there. And I think why a lot of people get into fly fishing. Yeah, it's freaking awesome when you catch fish. Seriously. It's awesome. It's awesome to catch fish on your own flies. It's awesome to nail new techniques and get better and better. But ultimately, man, there's just so many moments where it just comes down to the beauty that you're surrounded by out there. Standing in the river and just taking it all in, cruising across the lake. It just, sometimes I feel like it says things without saying things, right? Like it speaks to our souls without words. It heals our pain without medication. It does a lot of things, and it's pretty awesome, guys. It's pretty awesome. Yep, 100% SD. Right there with you, my friend. Catching fish is the bonus. Okay, so this one is cool, but I feel like that belly's not big enough. So I got to find a good median. Like this guy, I'll show you again if you didn't see the one I tied yesterday. This was the chenille belly. And to me, it looks too big. It just doesn't really fit the profile. It's just a little too big for my liking. That's okay, it'll fish. This one, a little too thin. It could work, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know until I get them out there on the water what I really like. It can look good, but that doesn't mean that it's going to fish well at the same time. So for me, it's all about getting, practical flies. Flies that are actually going to fish, catch fish, and be functional rather than just look pretty. I like to tie pretty flies too, but, I like flies that can catch fish. And my clients like flies that can catch fish too. So, it's a mixture. Those are pretty cool. I'm just gonna have to play around with them a little bit more. Check it out. It's kind of reminding me of, I have a little sculpin pattern that I tie up that I could do in that version, but this guy is pretty cool that it's just the rabbit strip pretty much is going to be the most action on this guy. It's very thin, very simple, so it could work. I don't know. Don't know till I get out there. But let's tie up, let's see, maybe some ice dub. Yeah, ice dub might work. I'll have to get me some of that. That might work. You thought it was a cattail? Yeah, it does look like that. It definitely looks like that. But for those of you animal lovers, you might not like this, but this is a full pine squirrel pelt. A lot of the materials we use in fly tying are, animal hair, feathers. So that's why it looks like that. It looks like a cattail because it does come off of an animal. So that's a lot of stuff we use. But let's do this guy. Let's see. Let's tie up. So I'm going to do kind of the same coloration in the fly, but this one's going to be my favorite jig leech pattern, as SD calls it, the compost special. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. For you Euro guys, if you guys like to Euro fish a lot, this would be a great streamer pattern for you. It'll work really well on that style of fishing. So I'm just using the same size 12 Jig Force. What is it? Jig Force short black nickel fulling mill with the 3.2 millimeter slotted tungsten bead. Game says that when a fish is hooked, let it swim for some time so that it gets tired. Then tie the rope. Then again, let it swim so that it gets tired, and so on. Is it correct or game bullshit? Yes and no. See, there's kind of, the way I like to fish, I'm very conservation friendly. You know, I keep in mind, I use barbless hooks so that it's very easy to release the fish. I don't personally like to fight fish until they're exhausted. You're not supposed to do that because the fish can fight, will basically fight until it dies. So you don't want to do that if you are staying conservation friendly and you are wanting to, you know, maintain your fisheries, keep the fish healthy and all of that. So yes and no. You know, the fish needs to get a little tired, but you don't want to fight it to exhaustion. Okay, where did I'm looking for my pine squirrel. There it went. Yeah, here we go. Here's a good one. Yep, nice fluffy strip here. So with this guy, I'm kind of doing a similar thing as I was doing with the balanced minnow. I'm not going to bring this strip as far up. I'll leave myself a little bit of extra room just in case I want this long. You can always trim it later if you need to. Trim a half an inch off or whatever you need. I always want to puncture that fly or that hide right in the middle. Right down the center. That might be too, let's see. Oh yeah, that's plenty of room. Just want to leave myself enough room to be able to fold this over close enough to the bead. Yep, there you go. SD said it right. Fight the fish till you can get his head up, and then you can skim him across the top of the water. It's good advice right there. So when I fold this strip over, I like to pin it. It's got to be in front of the hook point here. Always has to be in front of that hook point. So I'll pull that bead up. I've got plenty of room. I can come up a couple of wraps, maybe right there. And then I can pinch that hair back. I like to get as much of the hair in there as possible. And then I can pin that down. See, I'm pinning it in front of the hook point. It's just going to help the hook turn over when you do this. And then I like to bury that hook point into the fur. So when you pin that strip in front of the hook point, all of this hair is going to flare out. You know, when it's in the water, it's going to pulse and undulate around the hook point, hopefully distracting from it. I'm using this type of fly in highly pressured waters. The trout see a ton of flies every day, and in clear conditions, when the water is crystal clear, I feel like this is a tying technique that really maybe sets this fly apart in those kind of situations. In murky water conditions, it really doesn't matter. You know, your fly, as long as you have the profile right, I don't think you know, they really have as much of a chance to see that hook point. But fish that are educated, fish that have been caught quite a few times, I just have a theory that they know what a hook point looks like, and I like to bury that thing in my materials as best as I can. Now I'm going to taper this down. I just like to always cut my strips down to a point. That just helps them swim better. You just trim them off from the sides, just like that. Just create a little point. Hey, what's up, Nimby? How you doing, sir? Now I'm going to take some of that polar flash I was using. We're going to stack this guy up. It's actually kind of a quiet day today, Nimby. The numbers have been off the chart lately, and it's been awesome to see. But today is actually kind of a quiet day. It's been great. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Helps keep me motivated. I like sharing the knowledge, sharing techniques. That's why I'm always asking too. You guys want to come in the chat and share some fishing stories or whatever. It's always fun. Just stack this one up a little bit shorter. I just like to always fold my flash in and double it up like that. Can be a little bit more conservative with your materials that way as well, so that you're not pulling as much flash to create the level of shine in your fly that you want. Lock those babies in. Yeah, quiet can be good as well. Sure can. All right, let me come back. I'm going to stack a little bit of white rabbit hair in there. So this isn't a completely necessary step here, but I just like to stack a little bit of this white rabbit hair in with that polar flash. It just helps it blend a little bit more and keeps that flash a little more subtle as well. I'm not usually, depending on the fly, depending on the type of fish and the situation that I'm using the fly in, I don't normally like super flashy flies. I don't seem to have a ton of luck on them. And the way that I kind of help create that little bit of the dull, doesn't really dull it, but it just kind of controls that flash a little bit when you stack it underneath a little bit of rabbit hair like that. And the rabbit hair blends really well with this polar flash. When you stack it on top, it all just moves very cohesively together. Looks very natural. Just lock that in. And I just like to spread it around a little bit, pinch it, push it down with your fingernail right at the base of where you tied in those materials. And that'll give you a little flume right there to blend with that flash. Also creates the profile of this fly, giving you more of that minnow shape, a little beefier looking meal here. like to try to keep that space right behind the bead. You can see it's pretty bare back there, and I do that on purpose so that when I get there with my dubbing loop, I can really heavily stack that up right underneath there. Grab some more pine squirrel and we'll finish this guy off. Get my trusty little dubbing tool here. Make sure I stack up enough hair. And then what I'll do is I just pull it through enough to give my scissors a nice clear path on this side. And then I try to cut as close to that height as possible. Some longer nose scissors usually help, but just to get it started. Oh, nope, I didn't get all the hide there. No, 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 don't you come out of there. There we go. By the way, oh, I'm forgetting about my dubbing loop here. 1 second. By the way, just so you guys know, I was going to go do some fishing today because I wanted to get some on the water footage to post on the channel. But I dug out my GoPro that I haven't used in a long time and found a card on there that has a year's worth of footage that is unseen. It's not on the channel. Totally forgot about it. But a whole year worth of footage that I just forgot about. So I have tons of new content that will be pumping out. I'm releasing a video today of when I caught a monster smallmouth. So just keep an eye out. What's up, wave jumpers? Thanks for stopping in. Just spreading this out nice and even. Shorten up those butt ends. That should be good. Let's go with it. Oh, dude, NIMBY pine squirrel is my favorite. This is my favorite to use as like zonker material for trout, especially. Oh, dude, trout tear this guy up. And I've got it in a bunch of different colors. I've got a black one. I'll do a black one after this because I need some more black flies. But dude, something about pine squirrel, I don't know what it is, but they love it. From Belgium, hey, thanks for joining in, Julie. Just doing tight, stacked wraps all the way up. Every time you wrap it, brush that hair back so it slicks back nicely. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be really close. I don't know, let's see. Yeah, I'll let it pass. I could stack up a couple more wraps in there. I don't know if I want to though. I don't know if I want to. Let me see. Let me just get this all slicked back. You know what, I'll let it pass this time because I'll do, if you can see, there's quite a, for my preference, there's quite a bit of a gap right there. Usually I like to stack that up pretty tight. So what I'm going to do instead though is I'll let it stack up a thread base, and then I can color that and give it a hot spot. I like to do a little pink hot spot right there, maybe like a, you know, like a damaged gill plate type thing. Actually, let me get that stacked up a little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. Just like that, and I'll just poke through that dubbing loop, make sure everything's pulled out and blended in. That'll slick back nicely. And then I'll hit it with, let's see, get the right alcohol marker here. Is this one? Yeah. And then just give it a little hot spot. Actually, maybe let me try this other pink one here. Yeah, that's a little better. More of a peach color. I like that. That works. Got that little minnow shape, and that'll fish. See, but this is what I mean. Once you stack up that dubbing loop and you keep that hide on the top or on the bottom, however you look at it, you can see that hair, once it flares out and it's in the water, it's really going to bury that hook point into the profile of this fly. That's what I really like about it. Whether or not that's the reason why this fly is so successful for me, I don't know, but that's just one of the things that gives me confidence with this fly. But all right, let's do a black one. Same thing there, but I have, let's see. Yeah, I've got the black, same size beads, just a black color. Same size hook, size 12. Just keep in mind, guys, you can also tie this one up. I mean, I've tied it up as small as a size 18. I've got a video on that on the channel if you want the tutorial. But then I also tie it up as big as a size 4, size 2 or size 4 for bass. So you can really play around with the size of this guy. You just have to make sure to match the right bead. For a size 18, I will still use this 3.2 millimeter, same size bead. Basically, from a size 12 to a size 18, it'll be the same bead, same size bead, 3.2 millimeter. And then once I go to a size 8 or size 10, I'll size up the bead. And once I get into the single digits, you know, size 8, 6s, and 4s, that's where I go to a much bigger tungsten bead to make sure it has enough weight on the bottom. All right, SD, take it easy, man. Appreciate you stopping by, dude. Have a good day. Just gonna stack up a little thread dam here so that pine squirrel doesn't slide down. Like so. And we'll grab ourselves, this is a brand new patch here. I haven't used it much. I've only tied a couple of flies with it. But definitely worth, whenever you buy pine squirrel or rabbit strip, get yourself the half skins. This is a half skin pine squirrel. And then like this one here, this one is really worth it. If you like tying zonkers, this is a half skin rabbit strip. For, I believe it's $12.99 now is what it goes for. This is waspy. $12.99 gets you this whole stack of zonker strips. Much, much better deal than buying the individual packs. So definitely go with the half skins. They'll go a lot further for you. Hey, what's up, Jefferson? How you doing, sir? It's the same thing that I always do, just looking for the thicker hides, the heavier fur. That one looks pretty good. I'll roll with it. There we go. Pull that hair up before you cut it. I never just do a blunt cut so that you can keep the taper of this. The next time you go, you've still got an even taper on your strip. If you just do a blunt cut, then you're wasting material. Only thing though, I just remembered, is that with this black pine squirrel, I think the black dye makes the hide a little bit more brittle, so you've got to be extra careful with it. Make sure I've got enough there. Yep, perfect. Not going to be much waste with this guy. So same thing, I'm just going to come up the hook shank. Always want to pin this hide down in front of the point. Let's see. You know, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try and pin it down even further up, pretty close to that bead, just to see what happens. Hey, well, thanks, Carol. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you next time. Just doing some loose wraps over the hide. Yeah, see how it spins on me like that? That's the only issue with going as close to the bead as you can, because what you want to do is come in front of that hide, come underneath it. This is where I put the tension on the thread. Really crank down on it, and then I'll come back over to see if make sure it's locked in. If it doesn't spin when I put pressure, then you know it's locked in. Hey, what's up, Connor? Sweet, dude. Love it, man. Love it. What are you tying up today? All right, Nimby. We'll catch you in the next one, my friend. Go tie you up a leech. Come on. I think that's, let's see. Let me make sure that's not going to overcrowd. Yeah, I got plenty of room in there. Perfect. Oh, no, come on. It's spun on me again. Might not be as secure as I thought. There we go. Dope Girl Fresh. It is relaxing. you should definitely get into it. If you're into fishing, you should try it out. It's a nice de-stressor. Okay, let's try something a little different. I wonder if since this one's a black and it's just meant to be a leech imitation, I don't need any flash in it. And I'd like to see if I were to just stack that up at the front there. You know what? Let's try this. Hey, Disavowed, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Some late night salmon flies for the river season. Starts here in Scotland. Nice, man. Been 3 months and I'm itching. Yeah, same here, man. It's, you know, we're in the winter season here, and not that we can go do some fishing, but it's just, you know, spring comes around, the bass fishing kicks back up. It's time to go chase some pike, some carp, all kinds of stuff. So I look forward to the warmer days as well. Well, I appreciate you being here, Disavowed. It means a lot, man. Now, I always say man just because I just say man. But if you're a lady, thank you. Yeah, I'll keep up with the same profile this way. It looks even more leechy. Is that with this one, it does look a lot like, it looks a lot like a bunny leech. Technically, you know, it's a similar profile, but the difference between this fly and a bunny leech is that a bunny leech is it's more of like a short, like if I were to chop this tail off a lot shorter and just do all bunny hair for it, that's basically what a bunny leech is. So similar, same, but different. And make sure that stack is locked in. And I'll come back and trim that out. Yeah, 100%. 100% agree, Connor. If it, I honestly wish they would do that here. Specifically for the trout, because we've got a world-class fishery here in New Mexico, and it would do wonders for it if we were to leave it alone for a couple of months, especially in the springtime, the early spring, to let them do their spawning. But I totally agree with that. I do it myself for one of the rivers that I guide on that is private access. So luckily, I'm the only one going in there running trips, and I can really control the fishing pressure. And I leave those bass alone. Once it's pretty much April through October, so I leave them alone late fall, all winter long. You know, let them do what they have to do to survive, and then let them finish up their spawning, and then we can get out there and go fish for them, you know. So 100% agree with those type of regulations. Now, let me come back. Oh no, that'll work. That'll work. Okay. I'm gonna stick with this pine squirrel. Oops, keep kicking the camera, sorry guys. Easier to get this into my clip if I pull this hair back so that it's sticking out like that right there. Now it's nice and straight, and I can just get this right under the hair, and that should do it. And for those of you that don't know or haven't checked it out already, Ronnie does a really great job of helping promote the guide service for SpiritFly expeditions. So all the links that they're sharing is about that. So if you're ever going to be traveling to New Mexico, you're going to pass through and you want to do some fishing, we've got you covered. We go after everything from pike to smallmouth, carp, and trout on the San Juan River. And once daylight savings hits here in, what, about a month? I think we've got one more month for daylight savings, and once that hits, that's time to go fishing. We get the longer days. And it's a great time to get out there. So now I'm just going to spread this out. Make sure I've got a long enough dubbing loop. Shorten up these butt ends, and we are good to go. Dude, Connor, I would love to catch some sea run browns, man. That sounds awesome. I don't know where the closest opportunity for me would be, but that sounds great. I'm sure those fish are strong and beautiful. Sounds great. Sounds like it's definitely worth the wait, right? And grayling, that's another fish I really want to go after and catch, man. Some grayling. Sounds like you got some good, some great opportunities out there, Connor. That's awesome. See, so this guy's gonna stack up a lot more like what I'm used to. Really do a heavy stack right tight to that bead. Make sure it's tight. Catch some of those fibers out of your dubbing loop with your thread. That's just gonna make sure that the finish on this fly is very clean. Wrap that up. Really? Wow. I can imagine. That's how the, like in the rivers that I fish here for trout, the browns are, that's the prize, man. You catch, they're wild, so they just have this spirit, man, you know, like there's just something about them that is really special and unique, and they just have this fire. You hook into a brown trout, it's like you know it right away. That thing starts peeling drag and it's pulling on you like no other fish in the river system. You know immediately. So I can imagine a sea run brown trout, man. Oh yeah, I know salmon have their reputation too. I know for sure. I can imagine. But I just mean because you combine that, what gives the salmon that fight from being out in the sea, that strength and endurance, and you put that on a brown trout, that's, I could imagine. Not brookies. Brookies are beautiful, man. I don't have much opportunity to fish for them here. The places that I do, they don't get very big. Maybe I could go catch 14 or 15-inch brookie. So I would imagine though that brookies are a lot like brown trout. And I've seen videos from Canada where you can go get some big brookies, and I think they're a lot alike. They just have that fiery spirit, What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. If you're enjoying the stream, please hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I've got lots of fly tying content, fly tying tutorials. I've also got a lot of new on the water footage, so you get to see not only how these flies are tied, but you'll get to see how they're fished and how they catch fish. I'm making a fly for fly fishing. So this guy is supposed to be a little leech imitation. There's that guy. Oh man, lake run browns that only feed on other fish. That's my kind of fish, man, because that's all about the streamer game. That's all streamers right there, man. That's what I like. That's why a lot of times you'll catch me. I'm fly fishing for bass, smallmouth, pike, muskie. And a lot of the trout guys look at me like I'm crazy throwing big streamers for trout, but that just tells me, I'm like, you don't know. You just don't know, my friend. Oh, there you have it. I haven't tied up one of these black ones, but that is a fishy leech for sure. This one I've had a success with in lakes for trout and for bass. You can kind of, if it's on a windy day, there's a technique that I really like to use, especially on the fly rod. You want to cast a fly like this, you can put it under an indicator, a big bobber, big indicator. And on a windy day, you won't have to cast so much. As long as you get that first cast out there into the lake, the waves are going to give the action to this fly while it's hanging under a bobber or an indicator. So if you put yourself on a big enough bobber that you can see and that's going to keep this fly floating, it's going to give it some great action. You don't have to do anything but watch that and wait for that indicator to shoot down. It just cuts your casting time in the wind, so you don't have to cast as much. You're not retrieving the whole time and having to recast. You just let it sit out there on the bobber and wait for that wind to die down. And it's an effective way to keep fishing through the wind. But that's it, guys. Appreciate you guys coming in today. Appreciate the conversation. Connor, thanks for the conversation, man. Always appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I probably won't be on till Friday or this weekend, so just keep an eye out. I will be posting a new video today, so keep an eye out for that later on. You're gonna want to watch this one. It's pretty exciting, good stuff. But again, thank you guys for coming in. Really appreciate all you guys. It means a lot, all of your support. Thank you, Ronnie. All of my subscribers, appreciate you guys so much. Wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So keep coming back. You guys have a good day.